When you picture our planet, you probably think of that beautiful blue marble, right? But before all that, Earth was a world of fire. Today, we're going to peel back billions of years to witness the incredibly violent, chaotic, and truly epic story of how our home was born. This quote right here really nails it. The first chapter of our history is a narrative of creative chaos. That idea that something new and beautiful can come from utter destruction is at the very heart of our planet's story. And we're going to see it play out over and over again. So, let's dive right in. We begin in a world of fire. And I mean that literally. Forget the peaceful blue planet you know. The early Earth was a terrifying, hellish landscape. We're dialing the clock back 4.54 billion years. That's billion with a B. A timescale so vast, it's hard to even wrap your head around, but that's where our story has to begin. This early period is called the Hadean Eon, and the name is just perfect. It's named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld, which pretty much captures the vibe of a planet in a truly infernal state. Just try to imagine this place. The surface wasn't solid. It was a glowing, molten ocean of rock. It was under constant assault, battered by a nonstop rain of asteroids and meteorites. All those collisions kept the temperature unbelievably high. Earth tried to have an atmosphere, a little thin veil of hydrogen and helium, but it didn't stand a chance. The young sun's powerful solar winds just blew it right away. So how in the world did this molten planet even come to be? Well, to answer that, we have to rewind just a little bit further and look at how it was all assembled from the raw stuff of the cosmos. It all started with a bang. About 4.6 billion years ago, a nearby star went supernova, sending a massive shockwave through a giant cloud of gas and dust. That was the trigger. Gravity, the ultimate builder, took over, pulling that cloud into a spinning disk around our brand new sun. After that, it was like a chaotic game of cosmic billiards. Tiny dust particles smashed into each other, stuck together, forming bigger rocks. Then those rocks crashed together, forming what we call planetesimals. And for millions of years, one of these just kept growing, sweeping up all the debris in its path, until finally it became the proto-Earth. And through all that madness, one force was calling the shots: gravity. It was the ultimate relentless architect, pulling dust into rock and rock into a world, the very ground that's beneath our feet today. Our young planet had just been built, but its biggest test, its most violent trial by fire, was just around the corner. This brings us to the Great Collision. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this might be the single most important event in Earth's early history. It was a cataclysm that would change our planet's destiny forever. So let's set the stage for this cosmic drama. In one corner, you've got the proto-Earth, this young, molten planet just minding its own business. And in the other corner, you have a rogue protoplanet named Theia. It was about the size of Mars, and it was heading right for us. This incredible smash-up happened just 50 million years after Earth first formed. I mean, in planetary terms, our world was just an infant when it experienced this literally world-shattering impact. The consequences of this were absolutely world-changing. First, the impact was so intense it vaporized a huge piece of Earth's crust and mantle, blasting it all into orbit. But that ring of super hot debris didn't just float away. Nope, gravity grabbed it and pulled it all together to form our moon. But maybe the most amazing result? The sheer force of the collision literally knocked our planet on its side, tilting its axis. And that tilt is the reason we have seasons. Every summer and winter you've ever felt is a direct echo of this ancient cosmic crash. So after the unbelievable chaos of the collision, a new phase finally began. The planet, completely scarred and transformed, at last started to cool down and heal. As the surface slowly began to solidify, volcanoes roared to life all over the planet, just belching out gases from the interior. This created Earth's second atmosphere, and it was nothing like our air today. Imagine a thick, toxic blanket, heavy with water vapor, choked with carbon dioxide, and laced with methane and ammonia. All that water vapor in the hot, dense air had to go somewhere. So, for centuries, we're talking hundreds of years, it condensed and fell as rain. A nonstop, planet-wide, torrential downpour that eventually cooled the hot crust and formed the very first oceans. And this brings us to our final and maybe most important stop on this journey. From chaos, a cradle. All of this fire, this violence, this water, it was all leading to something truly incredible. And this is the part where it all clicks into place. Every single destructive event we've talked about, every collision, every eruption, it was a necessary step. The violent geology of the Hadean Eon wasn't just chaos for chaos's sake. It was the essential prologue to biology. It was setting the stage for life to finally emerge from those new oceans. Which brings us right back to where we started. The forces that seemed purely destructive paradoxically built the very foundation for our existence. Our world's stability, the very fact that it's habitable, was born directly from its most chaotic moments. And that leaves us with one last big thought to ponder. Our home was forged in unimaginable violence. So what does that suggest about the birth of other potentially habitable worlds out there in the cosmos? Is this kind of creative chaos the universal price for a world that can one day support life?